So in this video I want to go through some examples of multiplying algebraic fractions together. And as we go through these examples, we want to be mindful of if there is any kind of cancellation that we can do to simplify the fraction down. And if we can do that at an intermediate step, that may well help us in the long run and cause us less bother. So let's start off with number 1. We have 30 over x times x plus 2 over 7. Now, what we need to do is multiply the numerators together. So we'll have 30 times x plus 2, so 30 times x is 30x. Then 30 times 2 is 60. And in the denominator we've got x times 7, which is 7x. Okay, now what I was saying about looking out for any kind of cancellations that you could do, sometimes you might spot that once you've done the multiplication. Sometimes it's well worth you spotting that early. So let's take a look at number 2. Now number 1 and number 2, I've purposefully made the same numbers apart from the denominator of the fraction on the right hand side. The reason for that is to identify that there is a cancellation that we could do early. But let's say we go through the same process as we've been doing and we multiply the numerators together. We'll get exactly the same as we have there, 30x plus 60. And in the denominator, we're going to have 6x. Now, at this stage, it may well be that you spot that actually 30, 60, and 6 all have common factor of 6. So every term in the fractions, it has to be every term, not just 2 terms. It has to be every term that you see. Every term in the numerator and the denominator has a factor of 6, which means I can divide everything through by 6. So 30x divided by 6 is 5x, 60 divided by 6 is 10, and then 6x divided by 6 is x. Now that's spotting it at the end, which in this case was fine. You may spot it initially by looking at whether you've got a value here 30 and then you've got the value here 6, and you know that 30 and 6 have the common factor of 6. So you could potentially have divided through by 6 at this stage. Dividing 30 by 6 gets you 5 and dividing 6 by 6 gets you 1. So now you've got 5 times x plus 2, which is the 5x plus 10, and you've got the x times 1 in the denominator, which gets you that x. So it allows you to simplify earlier. Okay? There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's all about whether you spot it or not. Now, number 3, there's nothing that we can cancel early. Okay? So we will just run into this as normal. And there's not going to be any simplification in this case. So first of all, we've got x plus 1 times x minus 2 in the numerator. So multiplying that out, we've got the x times the x. We've got the x times the minus 2 and the 1 times the x. So minus 2x plus x is minus x. And then we've got the 1 times minus 2. And in the denominator, we've got x take away 5 times x times x squared. Sorry, x times x is x squared, and then minus 5 times x is minus 5x. Okay, and that's my finished result. Now, number 4, you might want to pause the video and see if you can spot a simplification that you could do initially here. Okay. Now, you could go straight into multiplying out the brackets here. Okay, so you might initially go, okay, x plus 2 times x plus 7, x times x is x squared. Then x times 7 and 2 times x is 9x in total. Then 2 times 7 is 14. Then in the denominator, we've got 8x times 4x is 32x squared. And then we have 8x times 8, so 64x. And if you were asked to simplify that fraction, the method that you would use, if you would either say to yourself, right, does it look like I can simplify anything? Not initially. The only thing that you could do to help yourself is to factorise the numerator. Now, we haven't got onto factorising quadratics yet. Well, quadratics of that form, I should say. So you either can do that now or you can't. But the point is that if you were to factorise the numerator, you get x plus 2, x plus 7. You get back to what the question said at the beginning. You could factorise the denominator, and that would help, okay? But the point of it is that if you were to simplify this fraction, you need to rely on factorising, okay? Now, relying on factorising is great, but it could just get you back to something similar to the question. Now, what I'm hinting at here is that we could have made a simplification earlier. So I'm going to rewrite the question up here. X plus 2 over 8x times x plus 7 over... Now, the 4x plus 8 can be factorised because 4x and 8 both have a common factor of 4. So if we were to factorise that, we could factor the 4 out, and inside the bracket, 4x divided by 4 is x, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now notice how here we have a factor of x plus 2, and here we have a factor of x plus 2. So just like here, between the 30 and the 6, you had a factor of 6 and a factor of 6. A factor of 6 in the numerator, a factor of 6 in the denominator. So a factor of x plus 2 in the numerator and a factor of x plus 2 in the denominator. So that means we can divide top and bottom by x plus 2. It's gone there, and if I divide x plus 2 by x plus 2, I get 1 there. So I now have 1 times x plus 7 over 8x times 4, which is 32x. So actually, in its simplest form, it is just that. Okay? And that's easier to spot if you don't go through the process of expanding the brackets out initially. Okay? If you do go through that, you then have to factorise both the numerator and denominator and then spot the cancellation. Okay? So this, if you can spot that earlier, does save you a lot of time.